What's up, people? So I got a iPhone 6 pretty shattered up. I'm going to replace the screen on. I figured I'd take this time to teach you guys some stuff. So, one thing I look for when I first get the phone is just the edges. You can see all around the edges that there's no dings or anything like that. It's all straight. Nothing to bend out. Screen still sits flush. And it doesn't look like there's too much damage, even though this is exposed. The rear facing camera looks good, and all the ribbon cables look good. So I'm going to go ahead and go for it. Oh, another thing too is to check to see if it's got a bend in it. This one you can see maybe a little bit, but nothing to really worry about. So it looks like a new screen would work perfectly on this bad boy. So I'm going to go ahead and start by removing the two pentalobe screws. One and two. And this one's a little bit easier to get open than the 5 and the 5S. So I'm just kind of slowly wiggling it to, there we go, slide under just a hair. I'm going to use my guitar pick. By the way, I shut this off, so just remember to always power down the devices before you start working on them. So if you can see, I'm just sliding it up the edges here. Sometimes you'll run into when the glass separates from the frame. You can see there's a plastic and then metal. This frame starts to separate from the glass, and when that happens, it's kind of a pain in the butt to try and lift it up here. In that case, I would take something thin if it gets stuck down in there and just kind of slowly work it up, because there's these clips here, and they fit into the metal whatever you want to call them down there. They hold those rectangles in, if that makes sense. So anyways, if you ever run into that, just remember you can do it the way I just told you. Hopefully I explained that well enough. Alright. So we're going to remove the 5 screws from the plate. 1. Put it on my magnetic mat. 2. Buckle your shoe. 3. iPhone C. I don't know. Okay. 4. Definitely shut the door. 5. Don't forget to hand drive. Alright, there you go. Use that. Remove the metal plate. Put it on the magnetic mat in an organized manner, meaning that's exactly how the screws fit in there, along with the plate. So remember to stay organized, that's key. So I'm going to go ahead and move the home button deal, digitizer cables. It's going to be 4 in total. Here we go. This one's kind of dirty. You can see on the inside there's some grit and grime and hair and stuff. I'm going to just go ahead and brush it out. Okay. Now, first thing you want to do, the ideal way to do this is to get the new screen and test it first. So I got a new screen right here. Nothing's transferred on this one, but you don't need to transfer anything to test it. Make sure this first one goes into the top one. Right there, like so. Make sure to be gentle. And the Apple logo will come up, and that's a good sign. So far, so good. and I just want to make sure that it recognizes the finger everywhere. Hello, you can see me. Okay. So usually what I do is I'll slide it. So that's all good, and I'll just type in all the buttons. Make sure the delete button works. Yep, it all deleted, cancel. And it looks like it's working everywhere you touch. There's no glitching, and it moves everywhere you touch, so looks like we're good there. Okay. So I just like to make sure of that before I fully install it. Although with these things there's always unexpected things that happen, and I've had, let me wait for it to power down. I've had it to where I installed it fully and it still didn't work so I tested it, put all the stuff, transferred all the home button, all that stuff to this one, and still ended up glitching out on me. So you never know what to expect with these things. That's why I'm always as gentle as I possibly can be. Alright, so move that. I'm going to move this out of the way for now. And we're going to take apart this thing. So take the two, you can start wherever you want if you're familiar with this, but we'll start down at the home button plate. Oops. I set it over here. I'm going to show you guys, I guess I'll show you as I'm going, how I'm laying this out on the magnetic mat so that I know exactly where my screws go. So you can see I just laid that down. 2 screws next to each hole where they go. The plate's up there. And I'm just going to lay out the screws as I go here. And that one. Give me 3 screws on this side. Sorry, I'm trying to watch the camera to make sure you guys are getting all this. Alright. There's 3. Move that top one. And actually, when I do this, I'm going to lay all 3 of these screws by the plate, so I know exactly where they go, and I'll show you. Oops. Alright. 1. There's 3 plates in this top, 3 plate. There's 3 screws in this top plate. It's important to remember where these go too, because if you do put an extra long one where it doesn't belong, it can go too far down and crack the glass. So here's my plate. Put it right here with my 3. So I'm going to show you what I did exactly. See, that screw goes that hole, that screw goes that hole, that screw goes that hole, and I have my 3 on the side. Alright, there's this one. Two. So there is a ribbon cable you need to salvage from this screen. And I'll show you that. Oh, this bottom one too. So this front-facing camera we're going to reuse. Pop that up. Take the earpiece out. Oop, it looks like it's got some crap all over it. Some glass. So take the earpiece out, move that aside. Now, this is the proximity sensor and I think it's the auto light, so it detects how much light's in there. Oh, you want to save this too, this holder for the front-facing camera. So you're going to try and just gently lift this out. Now this is very delicate too, so just see, it didn't take much to get it out. And then it's adhered down. Let's see if you can see this. So this part right here, this wire leads down to this, and this is adhered down right there. So we're going to just try and get under that. There we go. Just gentle, gentle. There it is. Make sure all the crap's cleaned off. I'm going to clean that glass off that without trying to touch it with my fingers. I'm just going to use a quick Q-tip. Alright. Just kind of get all the glass out of there. Looks good. Make sure if you blow on it, don't spit on it. Okay, and we're also going to salvage, there's a little holder for the proximity sensor. There we go. Just kind of glued in there. So put that aside so you don't lose it. Alright, now we can take out the home button. This plug down here just connects like this. You just basically go from this side and lift it up and out. You can see it plugs in like that. And this is adhered down, so I'm going to just try and get under that and use my little wiggly jiggly hands. Alright. That's what I'm going to call that move, is the wiggle jiggle right there. I just wiggle jiggle that out of place. Alright. So this, I'm just trying to get under that rubber grommet, gasket, whatever you want to call it. There we go. Just kind of start it, and because you don't want it to rip. It kind of protects it from dirt and grime from your thumb getting into the phone. There's that. And this is also adhered down, so I'm going to lift this up. I'm going to push down put some force on this frame and kind of scoop under and kind of do my wiggle jiggle. There we go. Just like that. Now you can lift this out of here. Like that. Alright. So this thing, we've removed the front-facing camera, the bracket for the proximity sensor, the bracket for the front-facing camera, the home button, the back plate. This thing is ready to be thrown away. So I'm going to check to make sure. Sometimes I've ordered these and they don't come with this earpiece. You might have to salvage that earpiece and put it on there. But it looks like they remembered to do it this time, which is good. Oh, and they even have the bracket for the front-facing camera. Cool. Oh, and the bracket for that. So we didn't even need to salvage that, but I'm going to just go ahead and save that for parts. Okay. I'm going to throw this away. Which, by the way, I throw it in a small trash can and take it to a computer store, and they recycle those. So instead of just throwing it in the garbage, I like to do a little bit of my part and do some recycling. Alright, so that's kind of cool. I'm glad they put those brackets in. Makes their job easier. Lift this up. I'm gonna, sometimes there's a little bit of sticky left on this, on the home button. It feels like it's still pretty sticky, so I don't really need to even try to re-glue it down. Just make sure. See, it's already sticking. There we go. Make sure that's lined up. And then when you push this down, stick it back down, make sure it's lined up with the two holes, or the two little prongs that are sticking out here. And then go ahead and stick that down Don't put on the bracket yet because you need to have the back plate on and plug that in first, like that, before you do that. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see, what can we do here. I'm going to go ahead and do the back plate. Make sure this doesn't get tangled up. Okay. And what I do is just very gently push this into place. So there's like a little ridge right there that thing's got to go over. And then you can just stick it down. Make sure that's all stuck down and make sure this is lined up. Plug that in. That's good. I felt it go in. Now we can do our bracket if we want to. So usually how I put these screws on is I'll put it on the screwdriver like that first and then screw it in. Makes it a little easier for me at least. Alright. That's plugged in there, brackets on, screws are tight. Just make sure that it clicks and I can feel it. Can't really hear it, but I can feel it. Oh yeah, and make sure this is lined up too, because this is supposed to be kind of over the back plate, not underneath it. And be very careful with this thing too. There we go. So that's how it's supposed to go. So I'm going to start with the top left screw here. Don't do that to me. Come on. There we go. Pick this up, make sure this is tight. Okay, good to go. Make sure that you're taking these screws, or putting these screws back in order that they're laid out on the mat. So you remember which one goes where. Sometimes these are a pain in the ass. Okay. That. So I'm just going to show you that. Started on this side, I took that one, now I'm going to start with this next one. And I know that since I took all the screws out, like so, like this, and put it right there, that this one goes right there. Isn't that exciting, boys and girls? All right. Sometimes I just test you, and patience is very important when doing this. I didn't realize how much patience was involved with this before I started. Had I have known, I might not have even done it. Okay. But I'm glad I did, because it's taught me how impatient the world actually is. We are an instant gratification society, and that's a deep conversation not for this video. Alright. And I probably need to get a new screwdriver. This thing, I can tell, has seen better days. Come on. Alright, I'm going to try a new screwdriver here. So I just collect these things over time. Let's see if this one does any better. If I can get it lined up, that would be great. Wow. Doesn't want to go in. I'm glad you guys are seeing this because this is part of the job when you run into stuff like this. Alright, this is going in, I'm telling you. It's the last thing I do. Just be patient. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to skip that and go back to that. I think these holes are just a little bit off. There we go. Yay. Alright, maybe that lined it up a little better now. Let's try this next one. Or I mean, not this next one, but this one that I was just trying. There we go. How about that? Round of applause, everybody. Oh, thank you. You're too kind. Okay. So, let's put this bad boy on. There's a little cover, little plastic cover for this adhesive. There we go. And I like to stick this down first. So, this, by the way, these go in order. I'm pretty sure I got the right order. Yeah, it looks like it. So, the back plate you'd want to get on first before you put this, and I believe this goes last. Yeah, looks right. So this goes last over these three ribbon cables. So, there's a little, see the little hole in the, right there, can you see that? Oh, there it is. That little hole gets lined up with a little prong that's sticking out. There we go. That's over that prong. I don't know if you guys saw that, but that's good now. Make sure it's straight. Press down and adhere it down. Alright, so these two, this kind of folds in half. These two get pushed down into their brackets. Very gently, by the way. And then, it's got some crap on it. Okay. And then this earpiece goes over that, in between there. Like that. And then this gets laid over top of that earpiece, so it's kind of a sandwich. Okay, so now that all that's in place and laid down, hold that with your thumb, and you're going to take this bracket, slide that over, and make sure everything stays in place. Yep, everything's in place still. I'm going to go ahead and start with that middle screw. Actually, I'm so used to this one that. Okay. Okay. Oh, come on. Come on. There we go. There we go. Okay, that's in there. There's this. There we go. That one didn't fight me at all. Okay, that's all good. So, let's put it back together. Make sure we didn't forget anything. There's my 2 pentalobe screws at the bottom, my screws for the plate. No screws left over. Okay, there's that top one. I know it's probably really hard to see, but you'll develop a touch for this eventually. There's that. I don't like when it doesn't snap in. Huh. Good thing to take a look and just... I'm gonna look underneath this. Make sure you're not pressing really hard because you're getting frustrated, because it's a good way to bend these cables. There we go. I felt it go down now. Lined up, all good. I'm just going to put this back on as opposed to testing it first, because I'm pretty confident that it is going to work. Alright, so I'm going to start with this middle one. Ah! Don't do that to me. Yeah, I can definitely feel this screwdriver is getting worn out. There we go. Okay. Here's the middle one. I'm going to do the bottom left one. There we go. Patience, patience, patience. Okay. And last one. Número 5. Alright, so I'm just going to set this down. I'm going to go ahead and put the top part in. So you see the 1, 2, and 3. That slides underneath. So I'm going to lift this up like that. Slide underneath. So I felt that go underneath. You can see that's nice and flush. Before I actually snap it down, I'm going to turn it on and just test it one more time. And actually, I'm going to re-slide this out. Just make sure there's nothing in the way, no junk. Alright, looks good. Go ahead and put that back in. Alright, we're good. See? Good to go. Alright, so go ahead and just slowly and gently snap down. There's that side. Alright, sometimes it'll be a little sticky. That looks good though. Cool. Alright, that's good, that's good, that's good. Let's put these 2 bottom screws in and we'll call it good. don't over tighten these either because they do strip. Alright. Good to go. Put my tools away. Just make sure the home button works. Home button's good. Of course, I clicked the wrong code and locked it out. So all those work. So we are good to go. A good habit to get into is to do a reset. Sorry, I know that's really hard to see. I'm going to turn off this. Oh, I can't turn it off. Is to do the home button and the power button at the same time. So hold the home button, hold the power button. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Alright, see it? And it reset. Let go when it resets. And it's just kind of a good habit to get into. I mean, it's always good to reset them. Alright, so that's pretty much it. You guys have completed an iPhone 6 screen repair. There you go. Pat yourselves on the back and go get a drink. Of apple juice, that is. I didn't mean the other stuff. Okay, I did. Alright, thanks guys for watching.